5:23. We finished the 5th chapter. 6. Isn't it? We finished, right? 5th chapter? No? Gaurav, have you finished 5th chapter? We finished. Yeah. So we are supposed to begin 6th chapter. Okay. 5th chapter we completed the peace formula. Bhoktaram Yagyatapsam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suhridam Sarvabhutanam Gyatva Mam Shantimuchyati. Can you ask Sachin Prabhu to bring Gita Subodhini? Hare Krishna. Bhagavad Gita. Actually, Bhagavad Gita is a common text for all kinds of people belonging to all kinds of fields. Everyone regards Gita as a very authoritative text. Be it scientists, be it philosophers. This is for people who want to say something. Turn it on when you're using. And be it social reformers, revolutionaries, or be it religious people, we all use Bhagavad Gita as a basic authoritative text. So up till now, we have successfully completed chapter 1 to 5. All these lectures, I think starting from somewhere mid second chapter onwards, is available on the YouTube channel, Gita Life NYC. So just a gist. In the first chapter, Arjuna speaks about his difficulties in performing his task of fighting his own relatives. And in the first chapter, we find Arjuna gives various excuses as logical reasoning. He presents about 4 reasons why he cannot fight the war. Out of compassion, by fighting the war, he'll incur sinful reactions. By fighting the war, he might win the kingdom, but no people to enjoy with, and it destroys family traditions because he kills the seniors. So he says that I cannot fight the war. In chapter 2, he seeks Krishna's advice, and Krishna starts speaking the Bhagavad Gita. That's when we saw Guru only gives advice, or we can say we can only learn when we are open to learning. Only then we can gain knowledge. And 2.7, Arjuna tells Krishna, I'm completely bewildered about my duty. Karpanya dosho pahata svabhava prichami tvam dharma samudha cheta syanishchitam bruhi yat shreyasyanishchitam bruhi tanme shishyastiham shadimam tvam prapannam. Like that, Arjuna surrenders to Krishna saying that actually I'm completely bewildered about my duty. I do not know what is right, what is wrong. So my dear Krishna, you instruct me. You tell me how should I proceed ahead. And then Krishna in the second chapter, as you can see, the title of second chapter is Contents of the Gita Summarized. Krishna spoke the entire Bhagavad Gita in second chapter. So Arjuna could not comprehend so fast. Krishna first speaks about Atmagyan, knowledge of the soul. Then he speaks about Sakama Karma Yoga, Sakama Karma. Then he talks about Nishkama Karma Yoga. Then he talks about Bhakti Yoga. Then he also tells symptoms of a person who has achieved perfection in life, called as Sthita Prajna. So because chapter 2 becomes very difficult for Arjuna to comprehend, now chapter 3, he asks a question to Krishna. So Krishna, you told me I have to not perform abominable action, but I should fight. But isn't fighting abominable? So then Arjuna got confused. Thank you. Arjuna got confused because Krishna is giving equivocal instruction. He's saying don't perform abominable action. That means action which will incur sin. And on the other hand, Krishna is also telling Arjuna to fight. So from Arjuna's perspective, fighting is abominable. From Krishna's perspective, fighting for Krishna is not abominable. So therefore, Krishna meant you fight for me, and running away from this war, that is abominable. But Arjuna could not get the context. And therefore, in chapter 3, he asked Krishna, should I perform work or should I renounce? And then Krishna tells Arjuna, better than renunciation is to work. Because premature renunciation leads to um, sinful acts. Premature renunciation. You cannot artificially renounce. And Krishna says, because externally you may renounce something, but the taste for the sense object remains in the mind. So therefore, don't artificially renounce. Or if you say that you are already in a perfected stage that you can renounce, then Krishna tells Arjuna, still you work because to set an example for remaining people in the society. If you renounce, people will look at you and artificially renounce. So better you don't renounce, you work, though you're perfected in your position. You still continue to work so that others will get a good example how to be in this world, how to work but be detached. Like that Krishna tells Arjuna in the entire third chapter. And finally, in the ending part of third chapter, Krishna talks about the power of lust. Hmm. Why is it that some people want to be independent? We don't want to follow laws. We want to be free. Hmm. As in the 1960s in America, it was a fashion to think freedom means to do whatever you want. Hmm. They thought to be bound by the laws of the government, to be bound by the rules set by the society, the social pressure, peer pressure. That they thought this is bondage. They wanted freedom. So once Srila Prabhupada went to a place and it was like some sort of hill, some sort of a hippie hill, and over there everyone was just naked. And Prabhupada gave a lecture there. Only Prabhupada can do that. He gave a lecture there, and from there, one person became an initiated devotee, disciple, Prabhupada. Because people think freedom means just get rid of everything. They don't understand freedom means the soul has to go over the bodily cage. That is freedom. So therefore, people think freedom means I don't want to follow anything. No, that is not freedom. The living entity can never be in a position of not following anything. Either you follow the laws of the state or you follow laws of the prison, isn't it? There's no being independent of prison and the state. That position doesn't exist. So therefore, if we do not follow anyone, we are following a four-lettered guru. What is that? Mind. We are all following the mind. And we think, yes, this is my desire. Actually, it's just the mind projecting some certain desires coming from the past. So therefore, Krishna tells Arjuna, an independent action is not very much appreciated. So Arjuna is telling Krishna that sometimes we know something is wrong and we know what is right, but we are pushed from inside to do the wrong and not the right. What is that? And Krishna says, Kamesha, Krodesha, Rajoguna Samudbhavaha, Mahashano, Mahapama, Vidyenam, Ihavairinam. Arjuna, understand this is your greatest enemy, which is lust. When frustrated becomes anger and destroys all kinds of peace in this world. And this is born of the mode of passion. And so later on, he continues the entire remaining section from 3 point, I think 33, 34 onwards till 3.42 or 43. Entire section is wow, how dangerous is lust. And lust means independent mentality to enjoy. This is lust. Adamant desire to enjoy something prohibited. That is lust. And it is because of lust we don't want to follow anything. We want to do whatever we want. It's all lust, how I can enjoy. So Krishna gives a clue how to overcome lust. Krishna tells Arjuna towards the end of the chapter, how do you overcome lust? First solution he gives is you have to nip it at the bud. As soon as you observe that your senses are going little astray, immediately nip it at the bud. Don't let it contemplate on sense object too much. It will become too late. You cannot do much about it. Hmm. Like there was a Hollywood actor who would always advertise himself with a cigarette in his mouth. So people thought it was very cool. So they also started, promoting themselves with a cigarette in the mouth. Probably like Instagram photo with a cigarette, Facebook DP with a cigarette, WhatsApp DP with a cigarette, something like that. And then later on, that Hollywood actor he contracted cancer and he died of cancer. But now people wanted to remove the cigarette, but it was too late. They got addicted. So therefore, don't contemplate too much. And if you don't nip it at the bud, what happens? It's too late. One falls prey to addiction. So Krishna says one solution is nip it at the bud. Tasmatam indriyani ado Niyamya Bharatarishabha, follow rules and regulations. When following the rules given in the Shastra, you nip the lust in the beginning itself. That's one solution. Then, second, he says, use intelligence to control the mind. Mind will say, mind is like a naughty child, or intelligence is like the parent. So, naughty child wants to run in the middle of the street and be hit by a truck. But the intelligent parent, he holds the hand. He or she holds the hand and doesn't allow the naughty child to do whatever it wants. Similarly, the mind wants to go here and there. Idle mind is devil's workshop. You don't engage the mind will engage you, isn't it? So therefore, use the intelligence to control the mind, engage the mind in right practices. And other solution Krishna tells Arjuna is, if you want to really overcome lust, develop transcendental knowledge. What is a transcendental knowledge? Spiritual knowledge, knowledge of God, knowledge of oneself, and knowledge of God. And that's how Krishna connects to chapter 4, where Krishna starts speaking about transcendental knowledge, spiritual knowledge. In that spiritual knowledge, Krishna tells about why he descends to this world, how his descent to this world is not the same as our descent to this world. We are forced to take birth, we cannot choose our parents. Krishna chooses his parents. Krishna's, Krishna, when Krishna was born to Devaki and Vasudeva in Mathura, in the jail, Krishna tells, my dear parents, don't worry unnecessarily. I am the Supreme Person of Godhead, and immediately showed his Vishnu form. And then he said, I have you have been my parents for last two generations also, previously. Aditya and Kashyapa, I was Vamana. And who else? Krishna was also, there was one more where Krishna had taken birth. So now again you have come as my parents and I've come as the son. But don't worry, I can everything's in my under my control. And so Krishna tells, therefore, his descent to this world is spiritual. Mm. And 4.6 to 4.10, he tells Arjuna that if you understand the nature of my work and activities and my birth, that they are spiritual and not mundane, immediately one gets freed from material life. One can go back home, back to God. You can open the door. Hare Krishna. He says like that, and then he also talks about the law of karma in the 4th chapter. He tells Arjuna that one can escape the bondage, one can escape karma by knowing about me. Though I am the creator of the law of karma, I am not bound by karma. Whatever Krishna might come and do something in this world, he is not bound by it. Namam karmani limpanti, like that he says. Karma doesn't affect me. And then in the 4th chapter, he also talks about yajna. He tells Arjuna that therefore you have to cultivate knowledge. So if you want to cultivate knowledge, you see sometimes people come to hear Bhagavad Gita, but then even to sit down, you need some sattva, isn't it? To sit down and hear, you need some level of goodness. If there's too much of passion, you have seen some people, they're sitting, but they're, fidgeting like this, something, they're like, it's uncontrolled energy, they have to do something. So then you can only speak 20 minutes, then they're ready to run. They will say, Prabhuji, give me some seva. I can clean parts, I will wash the floor, I will do this, I will do that, but I cannot sit and hear for long. Because sattva is required. To come to sattva, there's some level of purification of heart that is required. So Krishna tells Arjuna, perform yajna. And then he mentions how in every varna, every ashrama, one has to perform required yajna to make progress in spiritual life. For the brahmacharis, they perform, I'll tell you some yajnas. Yeah. See, the demigod worshippers, they worship the devatas by different sacrifices. Then Brahman worship, that means Jnana yogis, they worship the Brahma Jyoti. So they offer sacrifices into the fire of Brahman. Then brahmacharis offer senses in the fire of mind control. Grihasthas offer sense object in the fire of the senses. And why? So one can say that so how convenient. Grihasthas offer sense objects in the fire of the senses. I like that yajna. It's very easy. Engage sense in the sense object. No, why is it yajna then? Engaging sense in the sense object, see, to sense gratification. How is it yajna? How is it sacrifice? What are they sacrificing? For serving Krishna. Okay, good. Okay, they do it for the purpose of serving Krishna. Nice. Anything else? Do you understand the question? No? Okay. The question is, Grihasthas offer sense object in the fire of the senses. That means by engaging senses in the sense objects, they perform yajna. How is that yajna? What level of what kind of sacrifice is that? Where is concept of sacrifice in that?
Like largely it's for meant for grihasthas.
Correct.
So
Grihasthas.
largely what like the grihast like those who establish, nurture and maintain a household and that life are materially
Correct.
engaged in the household life, which also implies constantly being engaged in material affairs to maintain that. But at the same time, their intention and their heart and their sort of orientation is towards living a life that is guided by the principles that Krishna has laid down, and sort of even propagate the population forward in a way which is Krishna conscious.
Okay. One aspect is very correct. And you have you have engulfed the answer with other points. The answer is, which you mentioned rightly, yes, they do it under guidance. They cannot do it unrestrictedly. Engaging sense and sense objects cannot be done unrestrictedly. They do it under the guidance of spiritual master for the sake of progress in spiritual life. Therefore, it's yajna. Just turn on the AC. It's so hot inside. Anyone's feeling hot? Because of wearing a jacket. I cannot tolerate heat too much. Okay, then the yogi, the Patanjali yoga system, follows the Patanjali yoga system offer the functions of their senses and life airs, pranavayu in the fire of self control, and sacrificing one's position, like charities are yajna, dravya yajna, then tapo yajna, austerities, then yoga yajna, then scriptural studies also yajna, swadhyaya jnana yajna, studying the Vedas to advance in transcendental knowledge. So, what is yajna? Any activity performed to attain a certain goal with respect to progress in spiritual life. That is yajna. So we have discussed all this, and then Krishna tells in later on in 430 or 31, he says, "What is the benefit of performing yajna? You get purification of heart. When the heart gets purified, you want to make progress. One becomes eager for spiritual practice of spiritual life. Initially, there's no eagerness; there's only passion. कुछ करना है. But even to get a desire to advance spiritually, to think deeply, to think about deeper subjects of life, one needs a purified heart. So then Krishna says, Sarve pyete yajna vido yajna kshapita kalmasha yajna shishna mritabhujo yanti brahma sanatanam. In 430, Krishna is saying, Yajna, Sarve pyete yajna vido, one who knows all these yajnas and performs them. Yajna kshapita kalmashaha. This, the performance of yajna, destroys the misgivings of the heart. He says, Yajna kshapita kalmasha. Sarve Yajna Shishta Amrita Bhujo, and one who partakes of the remnants of Yajna, Yanti Brahma Sanatanam, gradually he goes to spiritual platform. So therefore the importance of Yajna is highlighted, and then Yajnas lead to Jnana. That's how one gains knowledge. Because one's purified in the heart, now he wants to know deeper subject matters. You cannot make a kid sit down and tell him, I'll teach you Bhagavad Gita. Because a lot of passion is there. But people who are little elderly, they can sit down, be peaceful and peacefully hear. And then Krishna talks about how faith is required to attain jnana, to attain knowledge in anything. In science, if you want to gain knowledge, you need faith in science. Science is not just about logic, isn't it? There's so many assumptions, so many axioms based on which you make theories and hypotheses, and you progress in science. So it's based on faith. Similarly, spiritual knowledge is also based on faith. Okay, then last verse of the fourth chapter, Krishna says, Therefore, Arjuna, cutting all doubts which has arisen from ignorance with the sword of knowledge, rise and fight. Mm. He again says, fight. Yeah. So Arjuna could not understand. Again, he asked, Krishna, what do you mean? Should I fight or not fight? Again, he asked the same question. Then Krishna says, That Arjuna's question was sannyasa or karma yoga. Krishna says karma yoga is equal to sannyas. But what is the sannyas? Satnyas, to give up everything for the purpose of truth. That is sannyas. Sannyas doesn't necessarily mean, now in 6th chapter you'll understand what is sannyas. Krishna says sannyas doesn't mean simply one who doesn't light any fire, one who doesn't cook, one who gives up all work. That is not necessarily sannyas. We have discussed. Anyone remembers what is sannyas? We've discussed. You remember? Yeah.
No, I have a question.
Question. Okay. First you answer this question, then we'll come to your question.
I don't know the answer.
Okay. Anyone knows the answer? Yes, bro.
Giving up fruits of one's activity.
Giving up fruits of an activity. Okay. Okay. Good. There's more.
Engaging our body, mind, and words into Krishna's service.
Okay. Thank you. There's more. Anyone knows what sannyas is? And this was discussed with chapter beginning. So who is a sannyasi? Not necessarily sannyasi has to have saffron clothes. Krishna, sorry,
Someone who's renounced himself from the material world.
from the material world. So what does that renunciation mean? Does it mean he doesn't engage at all with the material world? Like for me, for example, I'm engaged. I'm using iPad. I'm using an iPhone. So does that mean I'm not a sannyasi? Does that define? Yeah.
So, be it like something unpleasant or pleasant, the sannyasi remains intact and does not like engage with the outcomes of what the of the activities rather than the purpose is what is
Okay.
guiding the
You're saying he's detached from the fruits of action.
yeah.
Okay. Something more.
It leaves the purpose of all causes.
To understand Krishna is the cause of all causes. Very close. Very close.
Like whatever he does is just for what Krishna wants for him. Like you
Hmm.
said about iPad and iPhone, so
Correct.
use it for propagation of Krishna consciousness.
Okay.
So that is the means of
Yeah.
sannyas.
So sannyasi is one who is not. He is one who understands that everything in this world belongs to Krishna. That means what does he renounce? He renounces not the things of the world, but the attachment to thinking that I'm the proprietor of the things. That means if a sannyasi is there, he renounces not his iPad, but he renounces the false idea that the iPad is mine. Does that make sense? He renounces the false idea of proprietorship of this material world, the ownership of this material world. So when a devotee he sees this world, he sees that this world belongs to Krishna. Everything in my life also belongs to Krishna. So whose phone is that? No, it belongs to Krishna. The time you think it's yours, you're not attention. Yes, correct. No, but Krishna has given it to. He has kept it in your custody. He has kept it in your custody. Therefore, you have to use it responsibly. If you misuse it, then Krishna will take it. Yes.
The marg of rasa or it's karma marg. Like karma yoga. Is it karma yoga or is it Bhagavad yoga? Bhagavad yoga.
Whatever yoga means to connect with Krishna. So sannyasi means who uses his senses, everything to connect with Krishna, to serve Krishna. He is a sannyasi.
Is it Bhagavad marg?
Yeah.
It's not a karma yoga.
I mean, karma yoga also falls in the fold of bhakti yoga. Yeah. Like for example, you see ISKCON sannyasis. Not that they're sitting in the room chanting a whole day. They're doing so much for the world. Isn't it? So actual sannyas means whatever Krishna has given it to you, use in Krishna seva. Because you understand whatever Krishna has given, it belongs to Krishna. So let me use it in his service. Would it be possible to get some water? Okay, so in the 5th chapter, Arjuna asks this question. So sannyas or karma yoga, what is better? Krishna says karma yoga is equal to sannyas, but for you, karma yoga is better. Hmm? And but what time of then Arjuna can say, but then there'll be some sort of sin involved. Because I have to kill my own relatives. Then Krishna talks about nishkama karma yoga. Nishkama karma yoga means you fight or you perform your activity for the sake of performing activity. That means you perform activity for Krishna. Be detached from the fruits of action. Not easy, but this is what Krishna advises. And then he talks about the characteristics of one who is a Nishkama Karma Yogi. That is from 17 to 21. And by practicing Nishkama Karma Yoga, one can attain liberation. See, you can say Bhagavad Gita is like a blossomed flower. Hmm? So, based on our spiritual practice in our personal life, there are different rings of understanding. So, a new person who is not practicing anything, he can only barely scratch the surface of understanding of the Bhagavad Gita. But if one wants to go into deeper rings of understanding, one needs to inculcate practice, spiritual practice. So that is called in the Sanskrit as sadhana. Sadhana means, thank you, Prabhu. Sadhana means spiritual practice. What is that spiritual practice? In the Bhakti Yoga, the main spiritual practice that helps us go, hmm, the main spiritual practice that helps us access deeper understanding of God is, first of all, the chanting of the holy names of Krishna. And second, you can say the study of the scriptures given by Krishna. That is Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and others. And then these two things should be done in association of devotees. As we keep doing this, you will find one sentence Krishna speaks in the Bhagavad Gita has so much in-depth, profound meaning. Hmm. Otherwise, we can read Nishkama Karma Yoga, Sannyasa, and liberation, and this and that. We are only scratching heads and thinking, well, is prasadam. That's the most relevant subject. We cannot understand further aspects of the Bhagavad Gita. Hmm. So, we have touched to some degree all these concepts, but of course, as we individually practice chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, associate with Vaishnava, association of devotees, and in our personal life study of scriptures, then we get a deeper and deeper understanding. Okay, so last time we completed the fifth chapter where we discussed Krishna's last verse of the Gita. Krishna tells Arjuna that if you understand I am the enjoyer of everything, of all sacrifices, I am the proprietor of everything, I'm the control of everything, then, and I'm also the best friend of all living entities, then we attain peace. One can attain peace. Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam, we just go to that. After that, we go to sixth chapter. Yeah. Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam,
Yuktaram Yagyatapasam
Sarvaloka Maheshwaram,
Sarvaloka Maheshwaram
Suhritam Sarvabhutanam,
Suhridam Sarvabhutanam
Yatva Mam Shantim Richati.
Yatva Mam Shantim Rachati. A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries.
So, if one wants to attain peace, one has to understand Krishna or God is not an entity who is, whether present or not, doesn't matter to me. Not such an entity. Like there's agnostics. They don't care if God exists or not. Well, actually, if we understand the role of God in our life, then we know we actually depend on God. The nature of every living entity is you have to depend on someone. Even an atheist, do you think that he's independent? No. If he needs a job, he has to depend on companies. He has to depend on university or education institutions for his degree. He has to depend on society for, social dealings. Mm. He has to depend on his parents. He has to depend on his friends. He is dependent, isn't it? So even though he says I am independent, but he's actually dependent. So therefore, the nature of dependence is natural for a living entity. We all have to depend. Then why not depend on person who is capable of reciprocating with our dependence? If you have to depend on God. He can give you whatever you want. In I think it came in this chapter. Ananya sintayanto mam ye jana paryupaste tesham nityabhyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Krishna says. Krishna says, for those devotees who constantly think of me, for them, they don't lack anything in their life. Whatever skills, whatever things they have in their life, I'm the one who is maintaining that. And if they don't have anything, I carry what they lack. That means whenever they need it, I'll provide it. This is our insurance policy. Hmm? Yoga Kshema Mahamyaham. So Krishna tells Arjuna that you just have to think of me. Just become my devotee. Rest assured, I'll take care of you. So therefore, devotees are peaceful. Whatever happens, devotees are peaceful. They don't have so much of worry because they know Krishna will take care. So now we'll come to sixth chapter. Now sixth chapter is called as Dhyana Yoga. Uh, Somehow I feel we have completed some aspect verses of sixth chapter. No, we just finished fifth chapter. Okay, I think we finished fifth chapter so fast. I think we okay. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Anashritah Karma Phalam
अनाश्रिता कर्मफलं
कार्यम कर्म करोति यः
कार्यं कर्म करोति यः
स सन्यासी च योगी च
सन्न्यासी च योगी च
न निरग्निर्च न चाक्रियः
न निरग्निर्चक्रियः
न निरग्निर्न चाक्रियः.
न निरग्निर्न चक्रियः.
Can someone do translation?
A supreme personality of Godhead. Oh. A supreme personality of Godhead said, one who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obliged is in the renounced order of life, and he is the true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no
Yeah.
duty.
So Krishna is telling Arjuna who is a real sannyasi. So real sannyasi is one who is detached from the fruits of work and who understands that whatever I'm doing is for the sake of Krishna. He is a real sannyasi. Not that person who lights no fire, because sannyasi is traditionally not supposed to cook. They should eat whatever is available by nature raw. If they cook, they're not sannyasi. Yeah. So therefore, Krishna is saying sannyasi is not one who lights no fire or performs no duty. But sannyasi is one who performs duty for Krishna and is detached from the fruits of work. See. Traditional sannyas, karma sannyas, which is not allowed in Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, only Vaishnava sannyas is allowed. Karma sannyas is not allowed.
But they can cook for Krishna.
Yeah, that's Vaishnava sannyas. No? Okay, you can read from here. Who is reading? So although from although you just click it, it'll turn on. You don't have to hold it.
Okay.
So it'll be turning on, turning off, turning off.
Okay. Although he
So make sure blue light is there.
yeah
Is it okay?
although the eightfold yoga system is recommended in this chapter, the Lord emphasizes that the process of karam yoga or the acting in Krishna consciousness is better. Everyone acts in this world to maintain his family and their paraphernalia, but no one is working without some self interest, some personal gratification, be it concentrated on or extended. The criterion of perfection is to act in Krishna consciousness and not with a view to enjoying the fruits of work. To act in Krishna consciousness is the duty of every living entity because all are constitutionally parts and parcel of the supreme. The parts of the body works for the satisfaction of whole body. The limbs of the body do not act for self satisfaction but for the satisfaction of complete whole. Similarly, the living entity who acts for the satisfaction of supreme whole and not for personal satisfaction is the perfect sannyasi. the perfect
Yeah,
yogi.
who is a perfect yogi? One who acts for the satisfaction of the supreme whole. We are like the part, and Krishna is like the whole. Like in a machine, you can have a nut, which can fall off a machine. Now, some certain machines have certain parts which are very rare to find. So now, till the time that thing is rare, I mean, it's connected to the machine, it has value, because if you remove it, the machine needs it, isn't it? Now, if the nut disconnected from the machine, now machine you find another nut. Does the other nut have any value? No. The nut's value comes from its connection to the machine, isn't it? So similarly, the soul's value comes. Soul is valuable with respect to its connection to Krishna. If it's disconnected from Krishna, then it's not very valuable. Living entities are not very valuable. Just like a spark which is connected to the fire. The spark can maintain itself till the time it's connected to the fire. Once it comes away from the fire, then it extinguishes, isn't it? So similarly, the living entity who acts for the satisfaction of the whole, such a person is called as a perfect sannyasi. Mhm. So we all can become sannyasis. So if someone says, Prabhu, I think you'll become sannyasi, don't fear. You say, yes, in my heart, I'm always a sannyasi. See, the sannyasi sometimes artificial think that they've become liberated from all material duties. Therefore, they cease to perform agnihotra yajnas and many yajnas. But actually, they are self-interested because their goal is to become one with impersonal Brahman. Okay, so that's all. A little more deeper. A Krishna conscious person has no desire for self-satisfaction. What is his criterion of success? Satisfaction of Krishna. Mhm. And therefore, is perfect sannyas, perfect yogi. And this is sung by Lord Chaitanya. You can repeat after me. न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं
न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरी
कवितां वा जगदीश कामये
कविता वा जगदीश कामये
मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे
मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे
भवताद् भक्तिरहेतुकी त्वयि.
भवताद् भक्तिर्हेतुकी
Yeah, can you read? Next.
O all Lord,
O
Almighty,
Almighty Lord.
O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor to enjoy beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. What I want only is the causeless mercy of your devotional service in my life, birth after
Yeah.
birth.
So a pure devotee of Krishna, who is also a perfect sannyasi, is one who approaches Krishna only to serve Krishna. He has nothing, no business going on with the Supreme Lord. Mm. He is not a trader. He is not a merchant. So therefore, a pure devotee, he wants only service. And there's a verse by King Kulashekar. In Mukunda Mala Stotra, he says, Naham mande tava charanayor dvandva madvandva heto kumbhi pakam gurumapi hare narakam napinetam ramya rama mridutanulata nandane napirantum bhave bhave hridaya bhavane bhaveyam bhavantam. Like that he says. So King Kulashekar is praying. He's saying that Naham mande tavacharanayor dvandva madvandva heto. My dear Lord, I'm not worshipping you for liberation. Generally, people approach God to become free from misery, and many of us too. But here, King Kulashekar is such a devotee. He's a next level devotee. Such a devotee that he's saying, my dear Lord, I'm not worshipping your lotus feet to attain liberation. Then he says, uh, Vandva heto kumbi pakam gurumapi hare narakam napi netam. Then he says, nor am I worshipping you to be freed from hell that is awaiting me because of my sinful actions. That means if I'm supposed to suffer in hell, it's okay. I don't mind. But I'm not worshipping you to be freed from that. That means there's no business transaction. He's making it very clear. Then he says, Kumbi Pakam Narakam Napinetam Ramya Rama Mridutanulata Nandane Napirantum. Nor am I worshipping you to enjoy the beautifully soft skinned ladies in the Nandananda gardens of King Indra. So I'm not worshipping you even for sense enjoyment. Then why are you worshipping God? What is the purpose? Then he says, Nandane Napirantum Bhave Bhave Hridaya Bhavane Bhavayeyam Bhavantam. I'm just worshipping you so that I can lock you up in the core of my heart. That means the Vrajavasis, they love Krishna, or they worship Krishna just because they love Krishna. That's all. I mean, why do you love Krishna? There's no reason. In this world, why do you love him? Why do you love her? There's a reason. This is like, just love has no reason. I mean, sometimes lust also has no reason. That's mundane attachment. But the pure devotees, they love Krishna for no reason. They don't want anything from Krishna. So, therefore, once it so happened, I think some of you would have heard this story. Once Krishna had a headache. Actually, Narada Muni, he wanted to find out why Krishna appreciates the gopis so much. And Krishna said, okay, I will make it understandable to you. So one day he came with a headache and he told Narada, I have such a headache. There is no cure for me. I've approached so many Kaviraj, so many doctors, and none of them are able to cure my headache. So Narada thought, okay, he said, what can I do for you? He said, there's one solution to my headache, and that is the dust from the lotus feet of my devotees. If anyone can give the dust from their feet, I can put it on my head and the headache will go away. So say Krishna is Radha Govinda. Govinda is asking for the dust from your feet. Will you give? How many of you will give? He's saying he has headache. I just need the dust from your feet. How many of you will give dust from your feet? Wow, Nitesh Prabhu is pure devotee. Yeah, you'll give. Okay, I appreciate your honesty. Very good. I won't give. Then Narada said, so Krishna said, Narada, can I have some dust from your feet? Narada said, I cannot give. If I give dust from my feet on your head, then I'll go to hell. What kind of trick is this? Then Krishna said, no, I have a headache, so I need dust from some devotee. So Narada went on asking different devotees. And now everyone said, we cannot give. He's Supreme Personality of Godhead. Who dares put the dust from one's feet on head of Supreme Personality of Godhead? And then finally, Narada Muni went to Vrindavan. That's where he went to the gopis and asked, my dear gopis, Krishna, your beloved Krishna, has an intense headache, and the only solution, only remedy to that headache is the dust from your feet. Can you please give it? Gopi said, sure, no problem. So they all came together, took a bucket of water, dipped their feet, and said, take this Narada, put it on Krishna's head. Narada said, my God, I don't know. I don't think you know who Krishna is. They said, what happened? He said, if you put your dust on the head of Krishna, then you will go to hell. And the gopi said, if it means, if it takes us to go to hell for Krishna's headache to go away, we don't mind. Then Narada got his answer. Therefore, Krishna is so fond of gopis. People have a mundane understanding. Krishna is fond of gopis because I have lust towards girls, he also has lust towards girls. No, Krishna loves the gopis for their devotion towards him. You see? So a pure devotee, he has no business transaction. So therefore, Kulashekar is also saying, I am not worshipping you, my Lord, to be freed from the hell that is awaiting me. If at all it is awaiting, I don't care. I am only worshipping you because I want to love you. And if you develop love for Krishna, you think he'll allow you to go to hell. That comes as a byproduct. That Krishna, the devotees don't care. Isn't it? So therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is praying like this. I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor enjoy beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. What do I want? Only a causeless mercy, birth after birth. Birth after birth. That means he's saying that even I don't want any expectation that I'll go back to God. If you wish, you can take me. If not, let me be here. No problem. I just want to love you to love you. For me, in the beginning, this was the most difficult to understand. I mean, how can you just love to love someone? There has to be some reasoning to everything. Yeah. Well, love is beyond reason. Yam sanyasamiti prahur
यम संन्यासमिति प्राहुः
yogam tam viti pandava
योगं तं विधि पाण्डव
na na hyasanyasta sankalpo
न यस्य संकल्पो
yogi bhavati sakaschana.
योगी भवति कश्चन.
Okay, yeah. Read.
What is called renunciation you should know to be the same as yoga or linking oneself with the Supreme, O son of Pandu. For one can never become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification.
You can never become yogi without renouncing the desire to enjoy oneself separate from Krishna. Now, today, yoga is such a buzzword. Everywhere, yoga studios are put up, but no one knows what yoga means. Mhm. Yogi means, Krishna says in what which chapter? Tasma Yogi Bhava. In the end of this chapter, he says, Tasma Yogi Bhava Arjuna. After explaining the entire Ashtanga Yoga and mind control and everything in this chapter, finally Krishna tells Arjuna, Tasma Yogi Bhava Arjuna. You become a yogi. And then he also gives it an understanding, which we'll discuss towards the end of the chapter. He says, who is the topmost yogi? Any idea? Who is the topmost yogi? One who can levitate, one who can walk on water, one who can produce ash from his hands, one who can produce dollar notes. Who is a yogi? The topmost yogi, the best of all yogis. Shiva. Okay. I am asking for principle. He might be an example of topmost yogi. What is the basis on which you consider him topmost? One who can do meditation for 8 hours straight, who can sit with the back erect, not depending on the walls. So who is the best of yogi? Any idea? Krishna says, Yoginam api sarvesham tad madgatenantaratmana shaddavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamo mataha. In 647, last verse of this chapter, Krishna tells Arjuna, my dear Arjuna, you become a yogi, tasmad yogi bhava Arjuna. But who is that yogi? The best of all yogis is one who has put his mind completely in me, whose mind is completely absorbed in me. Mad gatir antaratmana Shaddavan bhajate yomam, who with great faith worships me. I consider him to be topmost yogi. Krishna is not saying one who can levitate, one who can fly, who has developed wings, one who has developed tail. No, you don't have to do any of this. You don't have to withstand some minus 20 degrees Celsius cold in the Himalayas. Dip yourself into ice cold waters, or in the summer, surround yourself with the 5 fires, 4 fires in 4 directions, and one hot sun on the top. The Gyanis do that, such ghor tapasya, just to realize that I'm not this body. Some Naga Babas or such kind of species, they go into the crematorium and they sit on the dead body, which was just roasted in the fire, and they meditate to understand I'm not this body. But a devotee understands by taking prasadam. I'm not this body. They don't have to do all this ghor tapasya. It's not for the devotees. So Krishna says to Arjuna, just become my good devotee, pure devotee. Invest your mind in me. Just think about me. By becoming my devotee, you become the topmost yogi. All these other yogis who are going to Himalayas, to the forest, and performing so many kinds of tapasya, they ultimately have to come to me. So therefore, Bhakti Yoga is a one-shot process. What is that saying? Uh, 100 sonar ki, ek lohar ki. Is it? That's one? Okay. My Hindi is not very good. So you can keep hitting tuck, 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 tuck. That's how sonar ki is all different yoga systems. But ek lohar ki, dhad, immediately Bhakti Yoga. You're telling Krishna. Isn't it? So therefore, in this chapter, 6th chapter, Krishna is explaining Arjuna about. He appreciates Karma Yoga, Nishkama Karma Yoga, which he was describing, was talking about in the previous chapter. And now he's talking about Ashtanga Yoga because he's giving Arjuna different options. But Krishna is also clever. While giving a different option, he says, Arjuna, if this is difficult for you, just become my devotee. You don't have to do this. But then he gives the next yoga system. Then towards the end, he says, anyway, best yogi is my devotee. But yeah, next yoga system. So now he's talking about Ashtanga Yoga, and Arjuna admits later on, you will find. He says, my lord, this is very difficult for me. My mind is not controlled to perform Ashtanga Yoga. And you will find why. You'll find out why Ashtanga Yoga is so difficult. Okay. We'll go to the next verse. Yeah. Arurukshor muner yogam karma karanam uchyate yogarudasya tasyeva shamah karanam uchyate. See, in this, there are two levels of Ashtanga Yoga. One is called as Yoga Arurukshu. I mean, if you wish, you can memorize the Sanskrit word. Yoga Arurukshu means a beginning Ashtanga Yogi, a novice. He is called as Yoga Arurukshu. See, Aruruksha or Munir Yogam. And the second level of Ashtanga Yoga is called as Yoga Aruda stage. First one is Aruksha stage, beginning stage, and second one is Aruda. Aruda stage means advanced level. See, I'll just read what is Yoga Aruksha beginning stage. Beginning stage is performing prescribed duties is the cause of elevation. That means they just do their duty. One should cultivate detachment and also practice Ashtanga Yoga. Which part of Ashtanga Yoga? You know the Ashtanga Yoga, what it means? Ashta means 8, Anga means limbs. 8 limbed process, 8 limbed yoga is Ashtanga Yoga. What are the 8 aspects of Ashtanga Yoga? First is Yama. Yama means don'ts. Niyama means do's. So first do's and don'ts are there. So Ashtanga Yoga, so any yoga practice requires some sort of discipline. It's not that one can do anything and everything and continue yoga side by side. It doesn't happen. So first one comes Yama, Niyama, and third one comes Asana. Asana means, there Vajrasana, there is which? Shavasana, most famous. Huh? Which one? Mallasan. There are so many asanas. And so by performing asanas, one actually calms the body down. Because body has a lot of passion. So you do asanas to get rid of passion. And then comes asanas, pranayama. Pranayama means that we regulate the breathing. That calms the mind down. And then fifth stage comes pratyahara. Pratyahara means you withdraw the senses from sense object. Yeah? So in the level 5, stage 5 comes withdrawal of senses from sense object. And of course, Yama Niyama always says do this, don't do that. These things are always set. For example, one should not eat after before performing yoga. You know that, right? So even like japa, someone is chanting Hare Krishna, he eats and then chants. He'll feel sleepy. So Patanjali Yoga Sutra says no yoga system should be performed after eating. Best is empty stomach. So for example, rules and regulations, yam niyam. And after pratyahara, then comes meditation. So meditation is not in the beginning stage. Meditation comes towards the end of Ashtanga Yoga. First comes dharana. Dharana means to contemplate on the object for 12 seconds. So when is that possible? When you complete first 5 stages. Then mind becomes peaceful enough to contemplate on the object for 12 seconds. Then as you practice dharana, then comes dhyana. Dhyana is 12 into 12 seconds, which is 144 seconds. And then comes samadhi. Samadhi is 12 into 12 into 12 seconds, which is about 25 minutes, 28 seconds. Constant. That is samadhi. So, therefore, Ashtanga Yoga, in this chapter, Krishna talks about Ashtanga Yoga, and Aruruksha means he's only doing the initial steps. That is Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama. And the Aruda stages, he practices meditation. That is the advanced stage of Ashtanga Yoga. Yeah, can someone read this? Who is this? Jayant?
For one who is a neophyte in the eightfold yoga system, work is said to be the means. And for one who is already educated in yoga,
Cessation.
of all material activities is said to be the means.
Yeah, so for someone who is new to Ashtanga Yoga system, work is said to be the means. That means one is supposed to act. One cannot refrain from activity. But at later stages, when one comes to the platform of withdrawal of senses from sense object and meditation, one has to cease from material activity. One should not perform any material activity. But that's a very high stage. So I mean, this is just explaining Ashtanga Yoga. यदा हीनेन्द्रियार्थेषु
यदा हीनेन्द्रियार्थेषु
न कर्मस्वनुसज्जते
न कर्मस्वनुसज्जते
सर्वसंकल्पसन्न्यासी
सर्वसंकल्पसन्न्यासी
योगारूढस्तदोच्यते.
योगारूढस्य तस्य.
Okay, he's telling what is Yogaruda. Next, Vishwas.
A person is said to be elevated in yoga when, having renounced all material desires, he neither acts for sense gratification nor engages in fruitive activities.
Yeah. Such a person is said to be elevated in yoga. Hmm. One when one having renounced material desires, he doesn't act for selfish purposes. He only acts for pleasure of Krishna. Then one is elevated in yoga. उद्धरेदात्मनात्मानं
उद्धरेदात्मनात्मानं
नात्मानम् अवसादये
नात्मानम् अवसादये
आत्मैव ह्यात्मनो बन्धुर्
आत्मनैव हि आत्मनो बन्धुः
आत्मैव रिपुरात्मनः.
आत्मनैव रिपुरात्मनः
What is the common word used here? Atma. Uddharet atman atmanam natmanam avasade atmaiva hi atmano bandhur. Atma is only Atma's friend. What does that mean? Atmaiva ripuratmanaha. That means Atma has three definitions. Atma sometimes refers to the body, sometimes to the mind, and sometimes to the soul. So here, two aspects of Atma is used, that is mind and the soul. Okay, who's reading next? Uh,
One must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well.
yeah, yeah, we'll discuss about the mind after next verse. Yeah, there's one nice verse here from Amrita Bindu Upanishad. Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayah mokshayoho bandhaya vishayasango muktei nirvishayam manaha. For man, mind is the cause of bondage and mind is the cause of liberation. Mind absorbed in sense object is cause of bondage, and mind detached from sense object is the cause of liberation. Simple. So therefore, progress in yoga is all about mind control. Hmm. Control the mind, purify the mind, engage the mind in Krishna, then one attains perfection. But one contaminates the mind by giving wrong inputs. Mm. One starts thinking about sensual objects, about sense gratification, and degrades the mind. Then the mind will degrade the living entity. Mm. Therefore, the mind, which is always engaged in Krishna consciousness, is the cause of supreme liberation. As I say, you are where your mind is. Mm. How many of your minds are here? Okay, others' minds are elsewhere. How many of your minds are in India? Okay, no. Yeah, that is right. No, right now I'm asking. Okay, okay. बन्धुरात्मात्मनस्तस्य
बन्धुरात्मात्मनस्तस्य
येनात्मैवात्मना जितः
येनात्मैवात्मनाजितः
अनात्मनस्तु शत्रुत्वे
अनात्मनस्तु शत्रुत्वे
वर्तेतात्मैव शत्रुवत्.
वर्तेतामैव
Yeah.
शत्रुवत्
This is one of the most important verses in the Bhagavad Gita because it's so relevant and you can experience it yourself. Bandhuratmatmanastasya means a controlled mind is your friend. Yenatmaivatmana jitaha. So that means mind is your friend when you have conquered it. Anatmanastu shatrutve, but it becomes your enemy. Vartetatmainava shatruvat, when it is uncontrolled. Hmm. Can you read translation? Who's next? Ah, Sachin.
For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy.
So therefore, see proper. See, read the first line of purport.
The purpose of practicing Eightfold Yoga is to control the mind in order to make it a friend in discharging the human mission.
Yeah. Next, one more line.
Unless the mind is controlled, the practice of yoga for show is simply a waste of time.
Yeah. If we have not controlled the mind, the practice of yoga is simply a show. There is no practice of yoga without the control of mind. So, therefore, what do we do as devotees? We daily chant Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Ram
Rama
Ram,
Rama,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare.
Anyone who has tried chanting before, you will see how uncontrolled the mind is. First step is to recognize that mind is uncontrolled, isn't it? Mind runs in all directions except on the thing you want to do. That means it's uncontrolled. That means when you begin chanting Hare Krishna, immediately mind says, what about that assignment? What about that job application? What about What about your parents? You haven't called them for last 2 days. What about your friends? They were talking about a party coming soon, New Year's Eve. You know, mind says everything. Or for devotees, it says, what about the preaching program? What topics will I speak tomorrow? Mind knows the weaknesses. So for a devotee, the mind is, or for anyone, the mind is always running in all different directions except chanting Hare Krishna. But when you're doing your studies, then mind will say something, you have to chant Hare Krishna also, human form of life. You have to make some spiritual progress, isn't it? And what about your laundry? You haven't gone to laundromat recently. All your clothes have piled up. When you're doing your laundry, then it says, what about your assignment? Isn't it? So therefore, mind is called as uncontrolled. Basically, it doesn't want to follow you. What does control means? It means you can use your mind to do what you want, but it is not easy. And Arjuna admits it to Krishna. In this world, we might not admit that my mind is uncontrolled, but Arjuna admits to Krishna. He tells Krishna, Chanchalami manah Krishna, Panchalami manah Krishna Pramathi Balavadridam. He says, my mind is so flickering, it is obstinate, it is strong, it is turbulent. My dear Krishna, I can control the wind, but not my mind. He says, to control the mind is that difficult. Mm. So therefore, practice of yoga, when we chant Hare Krishna, when you're associating Vaishnavas, we have to also see, keep an eye on the mind. How controlled is it getting? Is it calming down, or is it becoming more voracious? Is it becoming more turbulent? Is it becoming more troublesome? So why is the mind so flickering? Anyone knows? See, mind is associated with words called chanchal. Chanchal means flickering, doesn't stay in one place. It's also associated with the word called pramathi, means very obstinate. Balavad, very strong. And it is also associated with the word pramati balavad dridam, very turbulent, obstinate, like that. So, why is mind flickering? Yeah, why? Yes.
It is carrying desires from previous births.
Okay. Because it is carrying material desires. So it's agitating the mind. Good answer.
It is constantly interacting with the three modes of material nature.
Very good. Because the three modes of material nature is completely driving the mind.
Crazy.
Crazy. Very good. In the mode of goodness, one thing one feels, let me take a stroll in the park. Let me do some food distribution to the poor. Let me give a helping hand to my friend. Sattvic desires. Rajasic desires. Let me show everyone that I am the best. Let me take part in a competition where I can get the gold medal. Let me show to everyone that I am the smartest. Let me ask such a question that people understand how smart I am. That is also there when we ask questions. Or when we speak, let me speak such a point that people will get astonished by the profundity of what I'm speaking. So that is passionate to show that हम कुछ करके दिखाएंगे. Hmm? And ignorance means, the mind says, let me just sleep today. I don't want to do anything. Let me get rid of all the other activities. Let me commit suicide. Let me just drink and lose myself. This is all ignorant desires. So therefore, what you said is also correct. What he said is also correct. The material desires and the three modes attacking the mind. So mind becomes very flickering. And also, what are these material desires based upon? Lust, anger. Oh, yes. Pleasure. Yes. So that is lust, anger, and greed. So therefore, till the time mind is contaminated by lust, anger, greed, and if you want to extend it, pride, envy, illusion, the six anarthas, till that time, mind remains uncontrolled. That means an uncontrolled mind troubles the living entity. Who is the worst enemy?
Mind.
Uncontrolled mind.
Uncontrolled.
Isn't it? And Krishna says later on in 15th chapter, he says, Mamayevamsho Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. All these living entities are my parts and parcels. But having forgotten me, they have descended to this material plane, and they are trying to use the senses and the mind to struggle hard in this world. That's why we are struggling so hard, because of uncontrolled mind. Because mind says go and get a new car. Your friend got a new car, so you get a better car. Then you understand another friend has even better car, isn't it? Or you want to show off to your girlfriend that I can also get a bungalow. Then you invest so much in a bungalow, in property, in possessions, or you have to gift a jewelry necklace. So like this, the mind drives the living entity crazy, and the living entity keeps traveling here and there, just trying to fulfill the desires of the mind. So therefore it is said, ममैवांशो जीवलोके जीवभूत सनातनः मनशिष्ठानि इंद्रियाणि prakrtisthani karshati. Karshati means a hard struggle for existence. And that hard struggle for existence is there because of the contaminated mind. So if one wants peace of mind, one has to purify the mind. What does it mean to purify the mind? To purify the mind means to get rid of lust, anger, and greed. Lust, anger, and greed is what? lag. So if you don't purify lust, anger, and greed, it will lag you in your progress of spiritual life. So initially, yeah, I'll come back to it. Initially, what is spiritual progress? Working towards purification of mind. That is spiritual progress. And all the show bottle spirituality, where no one is focusing on any kind of purification of the mind, is just I am very spiritual and we are just kind and moral and ethic. This is not spirituality. Krishna says first you have to purify the mind. A purified mind becomes your friend. And then you see, chant Hare Krishna, mind is with you. Isn't it? Yes, bro, what is the question?
So how ambition comes into this picture? Like, is it wrong?
It doesn't come into the picture.
Is it like wrong to be ambitious? Is it like, because everything desires from ambition, right? Like everything comes from ambition. Like, okay,
Yeah.
I want this,
Yeah.
or I want to do this, or whatever. If we are talking about,
Say, for example, speaking practically, we can say ambition is not wrong till the time you are also maintaining your spiritual practice. But if ambition comes between you and your spiritual practice, then it's too much. So therefore, we talk about healthy balance between the two, because we know we want a purified mind, but you will not get it overnight. It takes time. So therefore, you have to balance your ambition, you have to balance your spiritual life, both, like parts of the parallel uh, of a railway track. So therefore, you have to balance both. You cannot have such an ambitious desire that there's no time for spirituality, nor artificially we can practice so much spirituality that you have no time for material ambition. You know, like someone student, he came here and he was staying here for some time in our BYS. But every day he was saying, Prabhuji, I don't have job. I don't have job. I said, "Theek hai, just worship Krishna, you will get." But he was saying, no, I need to get job. I need to get job. And finally, he had to leave because he was like completely shaking from the core. Because for him, it's like such an insecurity. You cannot artificially renounce, isn't it? That's what Krishna has been talking from third chapter onwards. Artificial renunciation is not at all encouraged. So, what good balance is encouraged. So, therefore, Krishna tells Arjuna, Yukta ahara viharasya yukta chestasya karmasu, in the same chapter. Yukta sapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkha. Arjuna, regulate your work, regulate your eating, regulate your sleeping, and regulate your recreation. Don't be in the extremities. Be in balanced mode, in the mean position, not in the extreme position of the pendulum, in the mean position. Then yoga bhavati dukkha means such a yoga practice will remove all dukkha. Hmm?
one
Yeah.
more question to this, like, where to keep the track of that arm going in the extreme zones of ambition or could be in bhakti? How to keep that track?
Yeah, so for that you need guidance. How to do it? For that you need guidance. Independently, it's very difficult. How to do it? Because we listen to the mind. We have practiced listening to the mind. So anything comes in our head, it's very difficult to understand. Is it coming from intelligence or the mind? Is it right or wrong? But you ask another person, he'll tell you, no, this is your mind. Oh no, that's your intelligence. Yeah, so
What if that another person has their own vested interest?
yeah, I'm not saying go to a materialist. I'm saying guidance should be taken from a spirit.
But even those who pretend to be or
Don't
aren't.
go pretenders. Go to a bona fide spiritualist.
Even the bona fides have an institutional affiliation, and it could be that partly they are guiding, partly they are pushing forward their own interests of the institution.
Still, it is better than listening to your mind. Still, it is better. Right now, I mean, you are saying, Prabhu, where is that pure devotee, Uttamadikari, who is completely in 100% love in Krishna, with Krishna? Only him I will listen. That is only a symptom of that I don't want to listen to anyone. Like saying that I am so great. If at all I have to surrender, I'll surrender only to Krishna directly. No, that is not possible. Krishna says, before you surrender to me, surrender to my devotee. So then what happens? Krishna also sends devotees in our life. So when devotees also come in our life, and then we say, no, I'm waiting for that pure devotee. One day he will come. you know, the story, like once there was a flood, and this person in his three floor home, someone told him, vacate the home, let's go and escape the flood. He said, no, no, Krishna will protect me. Wow. So they all left. So flood occupied the ground floor. Then he came to first floor, and someone said, come on, we have boats now, lifeboats, let's go. He said, no, Krishna will protect me. Krishna will come personally and protect me. I will not go anywhere. Okay. So he left. Then the flood occupied the first floor. Then he went to second floor. Then someone else came. He said, come, we have lifeboat, the last one which is remaining. Let's go. We have come to save you. He said, no, Krishna will save, protect me. Then he went to third floor. And then helicopter came. He said, come on, let's go from here. We want to save you. He said, no, Krishna will protect me. Then he was on the terrace of his home. And then he was seeing all the waters are coming up and up. And then he didn't know what to do. Then he said, Krishna, why did you not protect me? I had so much of faith in you that you will protect me. And then Krishna manifested in the sky. He said, you fool, I sent you so much of help. From ground floor to third floor. I've been sending you help after help, but you're not ready to take it. Isn't it? So now an immature understanding of how Krishna will help me is to think that Krishna himself will come and help me. No, Krishna has his way. A pure devotee can see how Krishna works things in our lives. Mhm. So therefore, Krishna says, if you want to surrender to me, surrender to my devotee first. But then if we say, okay, my devotee whom I will surrender should be like this. He should be Indian. He should be from my own state. And our own. So it will not work, isn't it? So devotee whomever devotee we come in touch with, of course, no, they may not be pure devotees, but they're devotees. If we think too much, no, they have a institution affiliation, and they might have a second interest, not interest of my personal growth. Then, you know, Haribo, you're waiting for that Krishna only to come. Yeah.
I just want to say one thing. He's totally surrendered to Krishna. He,
Yeah, yeah.
he's totally surrendered. And he's saying that again, only Krishna will come.
Hmm.
I'm fool enough not to see that these are his means of doing his
Yeah.
work.
So that's a contradiction itself.
Yeah.
So a pure devotee doesn't fall into that contradiction. It's only people who have a show bottle, who is called as PDS, pure devotee syndrome. Have you heard of this? Pure devotee syndrome means they feel that I'm a pure devotee. When I see Krishna, I get tears in my eyes. Something happens from within. My, romanchakampa shatranga vajo. My hair stand on end. I experience ecstatic symptoms. This is all just feelings. So a show bottle devotee says like that. Me and Krishna, we have a thing together. Who are you guys? Isn't it? So therefore, this is a contradiction. Whereas pure devotee can actually see Krishna's hand in every aspect of life. For example, take Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada was sick when he came to United States, and doctor came and told him, Swamiji, you're actually praying too much. He said, you're praying too much, you should walk more. And Prabhupada saw, this is my guru speaking to this guy. And then he started morning walks. And now you hear the tapes, morning walks, what level of conversation Prabhupada is given. The disciples asking questions, and Prabhupada is answering those questions, and so logical, so reasonable, so practical. And we are so happy that Prabhupada actually went for morning walks, isn't it? In India, Prabhupada was giving out pamphlets back to Godhead, or like thin magazine. So someone told Prabhupada that, what will your thin pamphlets or magazines do? You should better print books. Pamphlets people will throw. Prabhupada saw that my spiritual master Bhakti Siddhanta Sas Thakur is speaking to this man. From then, he started printing books. You see, so pure devotee can see Krishna's hand in any situation, not only that Krishna, dark blue, color of a rainy cloud. Only that Krishna Sham Sundar has to come in front of me with a flute and tell, my dear Dhruv, you know, do like this or like that. No, it's not like that. Pure devotee sees Krishna in every situation. Yeah?
It can be said like the example that you gave, the devotee who is saying that only Krishna can save me. He's using the same strategy of renouncing everything, which is not the way. You can be doing everything, but you have to renounce the food. So he should not be concerned that he will be saved or not. He should just grab, if somebody is asking him to go with him, so he should think that Krishna is helping in that way. It's not about the renouncing every material thing, isn't it?
It's not about renouncing every material thing, but
Like
how should I see
we are
Krishna?
saying that renouncing any material thing will is the way to Lord. That's not what Krishna is telling. Krishna is telling renounce the desire of fruit. So similar thing
Yes.
can be applied to this, that only Krishna will save me. Only that is that kind of renunciation is there. No,
Yeah.
instead of that, just
Huh.
like renounce the desire of being saved or being killed. Instead, just saying, okay, whatever is happening
Whatever
is
Krishna
Krishna's
wants.
desires.
Okay. What is happening is Krishna's desire.
Right. So isn't it like we should think about like this?
It's a good point. And the thing is, there are many such situations, the thing, it's not too generalized. You cannot generalize anything. Therefore, I said we need guidance. Because though the principle is true, but, someone can say, Prabhu, I got into Google because Krishna really wants me to earn money and enjoy a lavish life.
Right.
So it can be misused. So therefore, one needs guidance.
Okay.
Hmm? But at the same time, it can be true also. Yeah? But to understand what Krishna really wants of me, someone can say, no, no, actually, you got into Google because Krishna wants you to pay good donation to temple, isn't it? So devotee can give you the right perspective.
Right.
Yeah. So we will pause here. 6.6, from 6.6 we'll continue next time. Okay. Thank you everyone for your patience.